evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for May 19th, 2014. We're going to begin our meeting, as always, with the pledge to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Pullen, call the roll, please.
Mr. Galloway, Mr. Boraski,
Here.
Mr. Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Dents.
Here.
Mr. Rocco.
Here. Okay, thank you. Appreciate people, I guess, maybe making some arrangements to come here on a Monday night. We usually move our meetings when it's around Election Day. Our second meeting in May almost always falls on Election Day. We always move it to so we don't interfere with that. We're starting off with kind of a new program, or sort of a new program, Citizens Police Academy. We've had over the past several weeks residents of Falls Township who have been working with our police officers to improve their knowledge of laws here, and they've proud to say that we have a pretty good looking graduating class here, and we have one of our lieutenants, Nelson Whitney, here to make the presentation. And if you wouldn't mind, Lieutenant, just giving a little bit of explanation as to the program, and then you can continue with your plan.
Thank you. The Citizens Academy was an 8-week program. We invited 25 members of our community to participate. The purpose of the academy was to acquaint our citizens with what our police officers do. So it wasn't just a badge and a uniform, to put some depth behind their image of what the members of our police department do every day. The 8-week program exposed our citizens who were participants in the academy to training in the use of force, firearms, our SWAT program here in Falls Township, interview and interrogation techniques and the use of the polygraph, accidents and accident investigations, traffic stops, which were kind of fun, and traffic enforcement, internet safety, search and seizure. We also had the opportunity to go to the district court and watch some court hearings and see some arraignments, and we thank District Justice Jan Veslowski for that. We went to the Bucks County Radio Room and got a tour of the radio room facility, and we had a pretty good question and answer period there. In addition to that, we had a canine demonstration, and we were able to allow the participants in the Citizens Academy that chose to ride along with some of our officers while they were actually out on patrol. So they had the experience of going out on patrol in Falls Township to see what our officers did. It was fun. The 8 weeks went by pretty quick, and I'd like to thank Mr. Chairman and the members of the board, as well as Chief Wilcox and the Township Manager, for allowing us the resources to run this program. I think we all had fun, and the citizens definitely appreciated it.
Yeah, well, it's a great program. We're proud to support it, and thank you for all the work you put in, the rest of the officers and the entire department for all the work they put into it, and obviously the people that took part in it for volunteering, and I'm glad to hear that it was as interesting as it was, but I'll let you go ahead and award
Thanks.
your certificates.
Okay, yeah, we have some diplomas.
No badges, just diplomas.
Somebody, no, I was hoping somebody would say that. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, let's do this opportunity.
No, it wasn't me. I wish I
Corporal Warburton and Officer Yeager were our instructors on an everyday basis. They did all the behind-the-scenes work, and they put a lot of effort into this, so I'd like them to be up here for the diplomas.
Sure.
Ian Anderson. Harry Blackman. Robert Bruder. Joanne Cosgrove. It was a great pleasure. Thomas Cosgrove. Morgan Hacko. Michael Hartnett. Shelley Hillman. Lauren Johnson. Thank you. It was a great pleasure. Oh, it was wonderful. Darla Jones. Thomas Karras. Kyle Kilmer. Kyle couldn't make it. Sean McKinney. Jerry Mullen. Barbara Nelson. A lot of fun. Karen Rocco. Tyler Schrader. Tyler couldn't make it.
Spy.
Michael Sogmus. Ryan Tilley. Timothy Watkins. And our graduates that couldn't be here tonight are Leona Utter, Ruth Simmons, Tyler Schrader, Kyle Kilmer, Joshua Jasunis, Diane Beck, and Jesse Velasco. Give you guys a hand. And I think Mrs. Cosgrove wants to say a few words, if you'll indulge her just for a minute.
Sure, absolutely.
Our class speaker.
Speaking for the class of 2014, we want to thank everybody for giving us this wonderful opportunity to find out what police work is really about. Our class kind of started with a bang, a flashbang actually, and then it ended with a bark. And we just really loved all of it, especially the car stops, and the ride-along was really awesome. And I have to say, though, my favorite 3 officers that could come home with me anytime are Officer Jesse, Tag, and Trigger. So thank you all.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Almost.
I'll send you an email, yeah. It worked out, yeah. It was a little mad for a while. Take care.
This all feels very steady. It feels like these microphones are really sensitive.
Or like, very sensitive. Oh, it's here. Oh, yeah, this can start.
Yes.
Well, thanks again to all the members of the police department, Officer Wolverton, Officer Yeager, Corporal Wolverton, and Officer Yeager for the work they did, two of our community police officers. It's a great program, and I'm sure we'll be continuing it over the next, hopefully for a while. Let's move to agenda item number 1, public comment. We have 2 names on the list. Roland Kinney.
Good evening, Roland, Kenny Falls Township. I only have one thing to say. When I'm out and about, anytime I run into a gentleman or a woman with a hat on, armed forces, I thank them for our freedom. This weekend, we got to honor them all. So if you come across anybody when you're out, like when I'm out to eat, I see a veteran, I always thank them. See if we all can do that. These men and women put themselves in harm's way. Might not be fighting for us, but they're fighting for the rest of the world. And I'd just like to say thank you, and God bless you all. Good night.
Thank you. Mr. Mariani.
Pretty straightforward agenda tonight. We'll keep it moving, okay? My question is, have we taken any action concerning enacting an EIT, Falls Township? Keep smiling.
No, I'm
asking.
laughing because I don't get the newspaper anymore, but in yesterday's newspaper there was a letter to the editor from the chairman of the Falls Township Republicans, who lied through his teeth mostly about myself and Mr. Dents. Of course, we're up for re-election next year. But he talked about the fact that we're absolutely enacting an EIT and we're going to raise everybody's taxes, and we're wasting money on attorneys who are earning $600 an hour, which Ms. Gallagher wishes she was earning $600 an hour.
I wish she was too. She'd pay an EIT.
But we did, actually the only thing we did in response to your questions, we did ask the manager to take a look at some of the areas around us. And what we found was that in Middletown and Bristol Township, I believe the only 2 communities that have an EIT, Mr. Gray.
Yes.
The board, we really haven't talked much more about it simply because we feel that, the majority of Falls residents aren't paying one right now. And if more communities had EITs, and I know you had stated something like 96%, but that's not
right.
what we're finding around in our look just at the areas of Bucks County.
Well, that may be your immediate county, okay? But I don't care what this other gentleman wrote. I don't get to pay.
I know, it had nothing to do with you. I understand.
Yeah,
It's just funny that you brought it up.
I know it has nothing to do, and
Yeah.
you made sure that I understand that. I don't know where he got his information, but I don't understand why we're not moving on it, and I don't know where you get, or whomever is getting these facts, that the people around us don't have an EIT. Now, I know Mr. Rocco had asked the last time we discussed it whether Yardley was included, and I don't know if you were talking about the report. It's just as simple as picking up this report and go down the list. It's that simple. Every single one in Pennsylvania is listed. Then You asked if Yardley was included. I don't know if you meant in that report or whether or not they had an EIT. They don't.
They don't, yeah,
But I don't
looked at the report.
understand what kind of an impact that would have on us. This board, neither this board nor myself is looking to impose a burden on our taxpayer. We don't want to do that. What I'm saying, if you want to calculate income from an EIT, and we have 13,170 households, if that's the way you want to calculate it through household income, I'll tell you what, I'll deduct 20% of those households and say, okay, none of you, 20% of you don't have to pay this tax. And if you consider 50,129 household income, 1% EIT still brings in over $5 million. If you want to use another calculation, go to family income, which is a little higher, 57,000, and you take a look at the average family in Falls is like 3.15%, still going to hit $5 million. If we could increase the Pennsbury School District's income by $2+ million, what would be our rationale for not doing that? I don't know. I don't know this fellow who wrote that letter, but I can tell you he's not thinking right where he doesn't know his 12 times table. So,
I think both of those things are probably true.
well, you know, what is our rationale for not increasing Falls' income? You could do that by millions of dollars. And you don't do it, it's not a one-time thing. This is year after year after year. And if you take a 1% EIT on an insignificant number of people that it would affect in Falls, now I'll tell you, that is an insignificant number. Now I don't know who's doing this other survey and whatnot, but I'd like to sit down with him because I think he's wrong. It's an insignificant number that's going to be involved here in Falls Township. Those millions of dollars are going to reduce our taxes, avoid a need for an increase in taxes, and it works for the majority of our residents, not a minority. I still don't understand the hesitation. Now, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we've spent millions of dollars on projects, whether or not we agree on these projects, and we could disagree without disliking one another, that's for sure. That service, what I consider to be an insignificant minority of residents in this township, they're getting their wish list. Why hesitate to satisfy a majority of our residents' needs? I don't care who writes in what, but if you want to sit down and use a 12 times table, that gentleman, I don't care who he is, and I don't know him, he's wrong. We are giving away millions of dollars year after year after year. That's our money. I want it here in Falls. We can use it, and I'll tell you what, even though we disagree on projects, I think we could use it wiser and better. I really do.
Okay.
Think about it.
All right.
Lay your plans for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are the only names on the list. Or anybody else wish to speak? Okay. All right, move to agenda item number 2, which is a presentation by URS engineers for the Trenton Avenue Corridor PCTI study. At our last meeting, Mr. Robbins, Doug Robbins, who was representing URS and has been working on this for quite a while, gave a pretty detailed presentation of the findings and also went through some of the recommendations. The Board of Supervisors has a copy of those recommendations, and what we're being asked to take a look at tonight is the plan itself and the recommendations from URS. This would, we're not sort of voting on anything that would bind us to action, simply just approving of the plan they came up with, the various recommendations, and some of the recommendations are pretty inexpensive things that can be done relatively simply, and some of the recommendations are larger. Some deal with Falls Township, some deal with Lower Makefield, some deal with Marsville Borough because the road goes through all 3 of those. Some deal with all 3 municipalities, or 2 of the 3 at one time. and they focus on traffic safety, pedestrian access, aesthetic appearance, flow of the traffic through. So I'll let Mr. Robbins kind of do his presentation, and we'll turn to the board members who might have questions for him. So,
thank you so much. Yes, so excuse me, on May 6th, gave a presentation, an overview of the plan at that stage. We were still soliciting comments from our corridor committee as well, and after that meeting, a few days after that, we put it up on the township website to solicit any further public input. Unfortunately, no input from the public from the website. We did hear from more members of our corridor committee, and in addition to that, we also heard from SEPTA, who we had reached out to as a stakeholder, as well as DBRPC, and some members of the Falls, the Economic Community Development, I forget what the acronym is.
Community and Economic Development Committee.
CEDC.
Yeah.
Yes, all right. I heard back from them and got some really great comments. So the one thing I really wanted to go over was, based on the draft that was in your packet at the previous meeting, any revisions that we changed from that to the copy that's currently in front of you. A lot of random spelling and grammatical errors were fixed, unclear wording, some captioning things were all fixed, a lot of caught by our committee members. There was a recommendation to add the number of parking spaces, to actually look to see for each major lot to get a grasp of how many parking spaces there are in the corridor. So that was done and included in the final document. We also finally figured out exactly what to call the trail, and figured out it was the Delaware Canal State Park Towpath. And we also moved one recommendation, the install share the road signage, into a priority improvement. And again, that was another one that was relatively low cost, and actually heard from multiple committee members as well as SEPTA on that should be elevated to a priority recommendation. And really that was it. That was all the substantive comments that we received on the plan since I was last here. So I welcome any additional comments from the board or any questions.
Comments or questions from board members? From Mr. Robbins. Mr. Brasky?
I have nothing at this time.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
I have none, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think the presentation you gave last meeting was very, very good. I think the plans, the draft we have, and now the sort of finished copy that you presented to us, I think is very well put together. And I think the recommendations, like I said, in some cases are very simple, just striping that the cost is minimal. It can be done by our public works guys. It's not something that needs any bidding, and it's something that could improve traffic flow as people see where they're supposed to be turning in and out of, when they're going into a shopping area versus just having one continuous curb cut that they're pulling in wherever they want to or pulling out where they want to. Simple things like that. And obviously there are more elaborate things that, over the next few years or maybe several years that we can certainly look at different issues, working with the property owners about improving pedestrian access and improving the signage and other things like that. But I don't have any comments or questions, just other than thank you for all the work you guys put into this, you and your team.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Okay, see no hands. All right, so I guess at this point we'll just we'll vote. Is there a motion to accept? Is it accepting or adopting? What do we do? I guess we're accepting.
Sure.
Okay.
I believe you're just accepting the plan, Mr. Harvey.
Accepting. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Motion to accept the Trenton Avenue corridor PCTI study produced by URS.
I'll second the motion.
Well, I need a first motion.
I thought you made the motion.
No, I
I'll
was
make the
looking,
motion.
sorry, looking for a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, sorry about that. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, second agenda item is to consider notice of intent to award the bid for the construction at Quaker Penn, or I should say reconstruction, at Quaker Penn Park boat ramp. Mr. Gray.
T&M has reviewed the bids submitted to Falls Township that were publicly opened on May 14, 2010 for this project. 3 bids were received. They are as follows. ABC Construction Company, $60,726.39. Atlantic Subsea Inc., $80,720, and Double D Marine Construction LLC, $116,770.02. Based on the bid evaluation, ABC Construction Company, Inc. is the lowest responsible bidder for this project. It is recommended that the Board of Supervisors authorize the Township Engineer's Office to issue a notice of intent to award to ABC Construction Company for the bid cost of $60,726.39. Final awarding of the contract is contingent upon a successful outcome to the required responsible contractor determination that will be performed by T&M Associates.
Okay. All right, so this $60,726. In terms of insurance, Mr. Gray, how much were we getting from the insurance company for these piles?
$53,000.
$53,000, okay. And again, this is the damage that was done during the winter to some of the piles that have to be replaced. And I've talked to a couple people who've watched the video that Mr. Dents took as the ship that was coming up the river. Was it January, I guess it was, or? Yeah, I think it was January. It was
in January, yeah.
Just an amazing sort of, I guess it's still up there. I don't know if it's still up on the, is it? But, most of, or insurance would cover most of this. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray or Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Boraski?
Pete, do you know ABC, are they familiar with the boat ramp now? Do they do work there currently? Have they?
They actually did the dredging for us this
Okay.
year, so they are very familiar with the project and the place.
All right, that's all I had.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, just one, the solar lights, where do they go, on top of the,
Yes, they go on top of the piles.
we had them, or we have them on the other side, or no?
Yes, we do.
Okay. No, that was it. I mean, other than, the high price was 116 and the low was 60. It just seems hard to believe that they could be so different, but we'll go low.
Absolutely.
One thing that Mr. Sullivan actually pointed out to me too earlier before the meeting was the $60,700. That bid includes a $5,000 contingency, which may or may not be spent. So in actuality, it could cost $55,000, and we're getting $53,000 from insurance. So let's hope that there's no need to spend the contingency. Any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay. All right, then. Is there a motion to award or to issue the notice of intent to award to ABC Construction Company for the floating dock pile installation, $60,726.39?
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 4, consider purchase of bulletproof vests for the Falls Township Police Department. Mr. Gray?
The police department will need to replace the bulletproof vests for the entire police department. The vests currently in use by the officers will no longer be covered by the manufacturer's 5-year warranty. The department has budgeted $42,000 for this year to purchase the equipment. Also, they have applied for a grant from the United States Department of Justice to reimburse up to 50% of the cost of the new vests. They did secure 2 quotes from the several companies listed on the CoStar's listing. Samsey's Uniform provided the lowest quote for $761.20 per unit. This price includes the vest and 2 covers. The board is asked to consider 52 vests be purchased from Samsey's Uniforms at a cost of $39,582.40. Here tonight to discuss this matter further is Lieutenant Henry Ward.
Good evening. The manufacturer and the Department of Justice guidelines require that you replace your vest every 5 years. They won't guarantee them past that. The reason for that is the body heat, moisture, and stuff like that breaks down vests in different spots, so they can't predict where that weak spot will be. So the recommendation is that you buy a new vest every 5 years, and that's where we're at right now. Off the top of my head, 50% of that would be like $19,700 around there. If we are awarded the grant, which is usually a shoo-in, there's no problem. We have it in on time, and I don't see a problem of us getting it.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for either Mr. Gray or Lieutenant Ward? Mr. Boraski?
Mr. Ward, is there enough vests being purchased to cover any future hires or new hires?
No, because they're custom fits.
Oh, okay.
So that you have to be measured for it, and they will custom fit it to you. So we have 52 that we're asking for right now. That's our
Okay.
current strength.
Okay, that's all.
Mr. Dents?
No questions.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, just one. What do we do with the old vests? We throw them out?
Yeah, they're worthless.
trash.
You
Yeah.
can't do anything with them. We'll take them down to the range sometimes, and we'll shoot them just to see the effects.
Right.
But
Has to wear them.
same for the next Citizen Police Academy.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Yeah.
That's all I had, thanks.
And I know Samsies we use for quite a few things. We
Yes,
purchased.
we purchase our uniforms and stuff off of them. Most of our equipment is purchased through them. They give us a good price.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't think anything else. Very straightforward. Any public comment? See no hands. Okay, so we are looking to approve the purchase of 52 vests from Samsies uniforms at a cost of $39,582.40. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you. All right, Mr. Gray, did you want to do this now, or do you want to wait till manager comes?
Manager come.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, minutes is the next agenda item, minutes of May 6, 2014. Comments or questions, corrections for the minutes as they are presented. Mr. Boraski, you weren't at the last meeting, so I'm presuming you don't have any. No. Yeah. Mr. Dents?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
Okay. Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, I have one correction. The first paragraph, second line, it said Member Rocco
Oh.
had to work. Should be Member Boraski.
I missed that.
The other Jeff.
Yeah. You could just say Jeff and you'd probably be covered.
Yeah, right. It's good to get a, yeah, pretty good chance of being right. 60% chance of being right with that. Okay. Excuse me. Any other?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I don't have anything either. So, all right. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay. All right. Okay. Engineers report. Mr. Sullivan, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The 2013 road program is continuing in the hedgerow section of the township. JDM is installing storm sewer piping and inlets on Floral Drive and also installing under drains and preparing for new curbing. On Hedgerow Drive, the road has been paved up to the base course and from Howley Drive to Walton Drive. From Howley Drive to Makefield Drive, the contractor is installing the under drain and preparing for new curbs. The work on Makefield Drive is scheduled to be done this week, that being the remaining relocation of a gas main. And from that point, they can finish installing the storm sewer and then do that water main relocation extension they've been talking about. And that's just about all I got, unless there's any questions.
Of course.
Comments or questions for Mr. Boraski? Or excuse me, for Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Boraski?
None.
Mr. Dents?
Mr. Sullivan and I spoke earlier about the James D. Marcy leaving their vehicles and the mess over there in the neighborhood. I know they had vehicles out all weekend long because they're not supposed to be leaving them out overnight, let alone all weekend. So
That's correct.
Mr. Sullivan's going to make sure that that doesn't happen any longer. Along with the material, the bulk material they can get off the streets overnight and put in their laydown yard, which is right down the road, really.
Right.
So he's going to make sure that that happens starting tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially with this coming weekend.
Yeah, it's a
people,
big weekend.
Especially this week.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
liable to have, picnics, et cetera. Okay. Mr. Rocco?
Do you know if AutoZone's planning on coming in front of us in June?
Second meeting in June
Okay.
is scheduled.
Good. That's all I had.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have, everything else was pretty straightforward.
I have one more.
Yeah, sure.
You said that they are doing the water main on Makefield Road?
They will be doing that, yes.
At the same time we're doing our work?
The plan is to do it all at the same time so they can finish the road work and be done with it.
And that's next week?
It's supposed to start sometime this week when PECO relocates the gas main.
So we were not going to hold our breath.
I'm very optimistic, Mr. Dents. I'm sure it's going to happen.
We'll see.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That's it.
All right. Is there a motion to approve, or I should say accept, the engineer's report? This is the April 2014 engineering report, which is dated May 16, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the bill list is next on our agenda. Bills this month are in the amount of $2,752,955.91. Of that, roughly 7.8 million, about 1.2 million is health insurance and salaries. About $38,000 in electricity. There's also payments to all three of the fire companies in the amount of, I think it's $100,000 for each, okay, which is essentially the disbursement, tax money disbursement to them. And there's also post-retirement health benefits, which are paid to retired police officers. That's paid twice a year, and this is one of the months when it's paid.
The rescue squad, is the rescue squad in there?
Yeah, I think the rescue squad's in there too. Yeah, I'm forget about them. Sorry, thank you. And about 400. Yeah, there's about 400 and close to $450,000 for the road program. So again, a bill list of 2.7, almost 2.8 actually, million. 1.2 plus another 450 is 1.7. Plus another 3, about 2 million of the 2.7 is just those couple items. You know, the salary, benefits, road program, and payments to the rescue squads and fire companies, to the tax disbursements that we pay. So, comments or questions regarding the bills from any of the board members? No.
Yeah, I have one. It's the Courier Times. The bill was $7,346.80. I don't know what page. Do you know what that was for, Pete? I mean, I know some of it's for advertising for zoning hearing board.
Yes, some of them are for the zoning hearing board, some are for jobs within the township, some are for the various ordinances that we have to put in the newspaper, advertise.
Yeah. So they're gouging us, is what you're saying.
It's very expensive, very expensive.
I think it's sad that we have to pay that amount of money for it, when I'm not sure who even reads it anymore.
There's pending legislation that would allow us to do it electronically.
Right.
I hope so.
We're
Hope it
waiting
goes
on.
through. Yeah.
And technically, it only has to be in one newspaper of circulation in the area, of decent circulation. We can't put it in some, like the Penny Pincher kind of thing. So, I mean, technically speaking, we could put it in the Trentonian, we could put it in the Inquirer, we could put it in the Courier. It doesn't have to be the Courier. It just has to be a newspaper that's of circulation in our area.
Yeah, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, that's all.
Sure, no, I don't blame you. It's, but.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. All right. Is there a motion then to pay the bills? Let's go back to page 1 here. Pay the bills May 19th, 2014 in the amount of $2,752,955.91.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Bransky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay. Item 8, I apologize, I forgot to mention it. We did have a very brief executive session ahead of, just before this meeting. Ms. Gallagher, you want to summarize what we discussed?
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. The board did meet in a brief executive session to discuss 2 matters of litigation.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Manager comment, Mr. Gray?
Just a few items tonight. First item, the township received a letter from Mr. Sullivan at T&M dated May 5th regarding escrow release number 2 for Mercer Court. Based on the request submitted to T&M by the developer's representative, Ms. Pam Northrup, T&M did have a recent inspection of the project, and it has been determined various items have been completed. The dollar amount request for this release is $158,707.98. Board is asked to consider this escrow release number 2 at this time.
Okay, comments or questions from board members? No? No. Escrow release, again, just for those that may not be familiar, whenever a developer comes into a project, we require that they put up a certain amount of money up front. And that ensures, as long as we're holding their money, that they're going to do the work they're supposed to do, and they're going to do it the way it's supposed to be done. The job of Mr. Sullivan and his staff is to make sure they follow the plans that they had approved through us and the other boards in the township, planning commission, zoning board, et cetera, and to make sure that they're following codes and guidelines that are our laws as well as state laws for building safety and PennDOT regulations, et cetera. As they complete various parts of the program, we can then release some of their money back to them. We always do hold some of the money until the project's complete, and then there's a bond period, or the bond period afterwards, where we hold on to some of the money just to make sure that everything works as it's supposed to. And then once that's completed, then the rest of their money is released to them. So $158,707.98. This is not tax money. This is not township money. This is money the developer put up front that we hold now that they've completed another step of their project to our satisfaction. We give them their money back. So it's a little bit like, a little bit like kidnapping their money, but, if it makes sure that, that they're doing what they're supposed to do, it's worth it. All right, so if there's no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the escrow release, $158,707.98?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Bolton?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Township received this afternoon a request from Alan Toadvine regarding Puss in Boots Tavern. They have a waiver of land development application requesting an extension of time for this project ending on July 25th, 2014. Board is asked to consider this extension at this time.
Okay, any comments or questions?
No.
No. All right, is there a motion to approve the waiver of the, bless you.
Thank you.
The extension to July 25th, 2014 for the Puss in Boots development?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Township also received a letter from Mr. Tom Hecker dated May 19th today regarding New Seaview Lubricycle, requesting an extension on this project until August 15th, 2014. The board is asked to consider this extension as well.
All right, comments or questions?
No.
No? All right, is there a motion then to approve the letter of extension to August 15th, 2014 for Lubricycle, New Seaview Lubricycle?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just a few announcements from the Park and Rec Department. The Pinewood Pool is scheduled to open this coming Saturday, May 24th. The Pinewood Pool offers a variety of programming and summer fun for the whole family. The Falls Township Summer Camp Program is now accepting applicants between the ages of 5 and 13. Campers will experience a wide variety of fun and educational programming throughout the 6-week camp. The camp does begin this coming June 30th. Register online for both programs at www.fallstwp.com. Also, Pexco and Motor Room Subdivision Mylars are ready for signature. And one more thing.
Mr. Gray did place a resolution in front of each of your desks tonight regarding the fee schedule. As you'll recall, on January 6th of this year, the township passed a fee schedule. In getting ready for the summer season, we noticed that some of the fees needed to be updated regarding the Pinewood Pool. The only changes to the fee schedule are on page 16, and it relates to weekly pool passes for out-of-town guests. And it would raise the fees for individuals to $25 per week, and a family at a maximum of 4 people per family to $50 per week.
Okay. All right, so again, this is one adjustment in price that was sort of overlooked. So if you have somebody who's visiting from out of town and you want to buy them a week pass, similar as you're down the shore, you buy sort of a pass for a beach or something. For an individual, $25 for the whole week. And then if it's a family of 4, $50 for the whole week covers the family of 4. Again, provided that they are guests of a current pool member. All right, that's sort of the catch in there. So comments or questions regarding the change?
No.
In fees?
No.
Okay. All right, so we would be approving the resolution, which is 14-15. Okay, modifying that one small segment of the pool fees. Public comment needed? See no hands. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 14-15?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay, board comment. Mr. Boraski, start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to acknowledge the new Parks and Rec staff. I'm real excited for all the new events and sports that are coming out of there, in particular kickball. I really appreciate their hard work and getting the community involved, and it definitely shows. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dents?
Yes, June 7th, two more weeks, is our annual Queue for the Troops at the Township Park, along with the Family Festival. We've expanded to 65 teams competing this year, hopefully raising a good amount of money for the Liberty USO. There's a car show on Saturday morning, rides for the kids, there's crafters there, vendors there. The barbecue competition will be going on, fireworks show at dusk. It's a good time for the whole family, lots to do down there. So hopefully everybody can come out and support it. And that's June 7th, starting at noon. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rocco?
Don't have any comments tonight, thank you.
Okay. All right. Just one piece of business. Because talking with Mr. Gray, in terms of our agenda items coming up, we have typically in the summer things slow down, development slow down, other issues start to slow down, and so the board typically goes to one meeting a month in summer months, and it appears as if we are not really going to have enough agenda items for a first meeting in June, and so we'll be basically canceling the June 3rd meeting. So in the months of June, July, and August, we will go to a summer schedule, which is pretty normal for us here, which is one meeting a month, and that'll be the third Tuesday of June, third Tuesday of July, third Tuesday in August. And board members have all been informed of that. That's, again, pretty standard. One other thing I forgot to point out when we talked about the boat ramp and the work that's going to be going on down there, because of restrictions by, is it Fish and Game or the DEP or everybody, Army
Yes,
Corps?
all of the above.
It's all of the above. Because of restrictions by all the state and federal agencies not disturbing, turtles during mating season or fish during mating season, something like that. The work on the boat ramp, repairing some of the piles on the one side of with the docks won't start until sometime after July, hopefully soon after July 1st. That's a restriction that we have to work with. We knew that going in, which is why we sort of took our time finding somebody that we think can do the job pretty well, because we knew we couldn't get it done until after June 30th, basically. So we talked earlier about a letter to the editor that was in the newspaper yesterday, and some of the inaccuracies. I guess I'll be gentle and just say there were inaccuracies and not something else. But regarding the EIT, which, as Mr. Mariani has raised several times over the past few months, the idea of passing an EIT, earned income tax. Townships and boroughs are allowed to do that. If a community passes an EIT, residents of that community, no matter where you work, you pay into that community. If your community does not have an EIT, and where you work does, then you pay the EIT there. You only pay an EIT in one location, not twice. And so, for example, I work in Bristol Township, so I pay the EIT there. Falls doesn't have one. If Falls were to have one, if they had one all this time I've been working in Bristol Township, I would have paid the money here and not in Bristol Township. I understand Mr. Mariani's point that if a lot of people in Falls are paying the EIT in other municipalities, then having one here doesn't raise taxes. It simply means that the tax money you're spending somewhere else comes to your home instead. So I understand his point. Our findings are that we don't believe that a majority of Falls residents are paying one. And so, it would be a tax increase for people, and we're concerned about the impact of that on the community and on the economy, et cetera. So it is not something we're looking at, contrary to what the letter to the editor talked about. The letter to the editor also said that we're wasting money, that Mr. Dents apparently is not allowed to call the solicitor if he has questions about the law, which doesn't really seem to be a good way to run a government if you can't talk to the legal experts And it also said that our solicitors are getting paid $600 an hour as they sit here at the table, which is completely untrue. To begin with, when we have 2 solicitors here, we only pay for one of them. That was a rule, actually, I think before I came on the board, that was a rule. That stayed that way. And the rate that we approved in January, which was public knowledge on the website and published in the Courier, the rate is $170 an hour, which is pretty much in line with what municipalities pay, throughout, southeastern Pennsylvania. So again, it's a shame that people, certainly, as Mr. Mariani said, we can disagree on things and issues and we can be fine, but to just completely distort facts or invent your own facts is unacceptable. Coming up on Memorial Day, to me, it's especially sort of insulting, simply because, I think I treat Memorial Day pretty, especially, I think, as most people should, remembering the people that sacrificed their lives over the course of, 230 years of history, to keep us as we are, to keep us safe, to make this country what it is. I'm proud that I've had members of my family fighting in every war back to the Civil War, and proud also of the fact and grateful that the only people who have lost their lives in service from my family were, a couple of distant relatives in the Union Army in the Civil War. Thankfully, other relatives came through World War II and Korea and Vietnam safely. So, but I do remember those people who lost their lives, and I think about the sacrifice they had, and I often question myself and ask myself if I'm living up to that sacrifice. They gave their lives so that we could be a free country and a great country, and how great are we acting? Certainly, there are a lot of people in this country who don't act very great. And they are of all shapes and sizes and colors. They live in every community and every state in this country. And in some cases, the crimes they commit are pretty clear. In other cases, the things they do to poison our culture and our society and our way of treating each other are more subtle. And so I would question everybody just to think as you are, Election Day being tomorrow, think about the people you're electing, think about the people you're supporting, think about the way you treat each other and the way we think about our country, and think, are we living up to the sacrifices of all the people that have lost their lives to bring us to where we are today. The Memorial Day Parade, which is put on by the American Legion Post in Fallsington, will be this Sunday. I believe it starts at 12:30 from Pennsbury High School and goes down New Falls Road and ends in the Fallsington Community Park, or Fallsington Memorial Park. And there's also food and drinks afterwards. All of it sponsored by the American Legion. They do a great job. We thank them not only for their service, but also for their work in putting the parade together for everybody. So I encourage people to come out. It's usually a very good time. There's always a nice crowd standing off on the side, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a simple thing we can do to remember those people that paid the ultimate price. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.